Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano, and this is episode 320 of the world famous The University Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. But ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call it Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Today is Monday, June the 28th, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a new week. How are you doing today? How are you feeling? How are you feeling today? My wife, she watches this channel every week now that she's pregnant with our baby. But it's this channel. It's called Channel Mum. And I always get a kick out of it because, people from different parts of the world, they have different accents. So I always find it charming. And like, how are you feeling, mum? Like, my wife, she just laughs every time. I'm like, oh man, you enjoyed this, huh? I'm like, are we gonna still watch this little 5-minute segment after you have the baby? She's like, absolutely not. And I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to discuss why you should be making sure that your headlines are up to snuff. Now, we talked about this before in this podcast, but headlines are very important. Even if you have not so great material inside of your story, inside of your podcast, inside of your YouTube video, the headline gets people. You can have the greatest story, the greatest thing in the body, but if the headline's not that strong, you might not get as many clicks or as many eyeballs to the story that you want. All right. And now there are a lot of different ways that you can go about studying, researching headlines. There's different, go to your local grocery store, look at the National Enquirer, look at that kind of stuff. They used to have more. I don't know if they still have those magazines a lot anymore, but you could find them. You could look them up online. There are different ways, or just go through people's different. You can go through other people's stuff and see the headlines that they come up with, and you can start to really get better at doing headlines because it is very important. It's very vital, especially if you want to, gain an audience quickly. Headlines are very important. It's just because a lot of times these days there's so much content out there that you are skimming through. You're not really looking. You look and if the headline catches your eye, you're like, oh, okay, let me, if you know the person or if there's somebody that you like or whatever, you're more likely to click on it. But if you don't know the person, you don't know the thing, the headline is sometimes what draws you in. And it's a big percentage. It's like 50 to 80% of the time headline catches your eye and you're like, well, let me read this, and you skim the rest of the article a lot of the times, a lot of the people. So make sure you are working on your headlines, make sure you are improving your headlines. And so this way, even let's say you talking about a subject that's not that interesting, but you use a great headline, then you can still bring people in. We talked about this before. There's going to be different avenues. There are different ways you can go down. You might be a crochet person and you might want to talk about crochet, but if you have a headline that's so excellent that people are like, oh, let me click on that, and they're like, this is an article about crochet, what? And you're like, oh wow, okay. And there's different ways that you can use headlines. You can always ask the how, the what, the why, the when. You can put that in the title. You can always put something that sort of, you know, is the opposite of what people think. You can discuss, the hot topics of the moment. You can always like, why are social justice warriors, not needed, something like that. That would get people's attention. And there's all kinds of ways you can go about it. And yeah, so don't be afraid to use sensational headlines. Don't be afraid to use headlines that question the world. Don't be afraid to use headlines that can grab somebody's attention. You want to stand out. I'm not saying you have to be controversial on purpose, but you want to use headlines that will stand out. You want to use the headlines that will grab people and bring them into your world. Okay, it's like what's that creature? What's that movie? Stephen King, Pennywise. Pennywise is, let's say you're Pennywise. We're all content creators, and we're all in the bottom, and we're all in the sewer, and you're like, psst, psst, psst. And you're like, hey, I got this great article. I want you to read it. And then they say, well, what's the headline? And you give them the headline. They're like, ooh, I'm coming down that rabbit hole with you, sir. And you snatch them up and you grab them and you got them in your leg. You're like, hey, be a fan of mine, and it'll be cool. So definitely be working on your headlines. Definitely be thinking, you know, if you're not thinking, you're stinking, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So definitely just watch different. If you watch TV, then watch the articles that they have, study the news, study the newspapers, study the magazines, study the different people that have good headlines, and you can find them everywhere. I'm telling you, like, go to National Enquirer, you can see what, sensational kind of stuff, you can go to people that, are good at that kind of thing. I had one website, but can't, I can't locate I can't locate it right now, but they had good headlines that you should check out. But once I locate it, we'll discuss headlines again, in the near future, so I can bring it back. I can bring it back again. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a commercial break. You can listen about how great Anchor is. And then we will be back with the closing subject of today's episode. All right. So stick around, listen to this Anchor, talk about how great Anchor is, and we will be back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Now, in this segment, we are going to talk about something that's very important for you and your business, and it's very important for just life in general. But if you want to be more and more successful in your business, you want to, make more money, you want to, create, you really want to create something, whether it be business or whether it be, let's say you're a tattoo artist, doesn't matter what you are doing. You want to be independent, you want to stand out, you want to make monies. Sometimes you can't be not kind, but you can't be a people pleaser, because you are going to need some time. You are going to need to be a little selfish with your time. You are going to need, to work on the business. You're going to need to work on yourself. So you're not going to be able to please everybody. Everybody's not going to be happy with you. They're going to say, oh, where have you been? I haven't heard from you, blah, 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 blah. Like, hey, I've been busy. I'm working on this thing. I got this thing I'm trying to do, I'm trying to accomplish. You got to climb the mountain. And so sometimes in order to climb the mountain, sometimes you have to shed some weight. So unfortunately, there are going to be some people that are not going to be happy with you, but they're going to have to get over it. If they don't get over it, oh well, you know what I mean? If people don't realize, hey, this guy, this girl, them are trying to accomplish something. If you're trying to accomplish a mission in life and people don't understand that, then are they your friend really? You know what I mean? Or do they really care about you? You have to think about that kind of stuff. So there's this book that I got about a month ago, and it's called Stop People Pleasing. Be assertive, stop caring what others think, beat your guilt, and stop being a pushover. Now, by no means am I a pushover now. I do try to be nice, but sometimes you have to think about this. And this is for all of us. It's like, you know how people call you and they just talk and talk and talk. And it's like, I could be doing other things while they're just talking about nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I love my family, but sometimes they call me about nonsense. And I'm like, I gotta get off the phone, okay? So I've had to learn how to sort of trim the fat when it comes to who's gonna waste your time or who are you gonna talk to on a regular basis. You know what I mean? And at first, it's kind of tough. You feel kind of bad, but you're like, I'm on a mission. I have a mission. I have a goal. I want to take me and my wife and my daughter. I want to take us around the United States in a little RV. I want us to travel the world. So in order for me to be able to do that, then I have to be here every day with you, creating content, through the podcast, through the videos, through the affiliate marketing, through creating my own products. So I need more time to myself than ever before. And so there's a few people that I'm just like, you know what? Gotta trim the fat. Gotta trim the fat. You feel kind of bad, but it's like, eh. So then I was like, am I a people pleasing? And I was like, I don't think so. But then I was like, you know what? I saw this book and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read this book anyway. Because I read these other books and they really helped. And I was like, well, sometimes you do have to do what you gotta do. But I recommend this book. This is a very good book. It just talks about, how valuable your time is, how some people are just time vampires, and they just sort of suck the time out of you. And I also had a book about I bought this book about time management from the great Dan Kennedy, and he talks about time vampires. I think he came up with that term, but he talked about time vampires and people sucking off your time, and that sort of thing. And just overall, this book is about don't be so you can be nice. There's nothing wrong with being nice, but don't be needy. Don't feel like you need people to be your friends. You need people to like you and everything like that. Because unfortunately, it doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter how backward you've been over for people. Some people are not just gonna not. Some people are just not gonna like you. And that's perfectly fine. It's not like you've ever heard somebody. I had a friend one time, and they were like, "Why come so and so doesn't like me?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Who gives a rat's?" And they're like, "No, everybody likes me. I want them to like me." And I'm just like, "Why you care so much? They don't even know you, man. They just don't like you. Some people are just miserable that way." But this guy was like, "I'm nah, they're gonna like me. I'm gonna make sure they like me." And it's like, how far, how low are you gonna stoop your pride just to get somebody to like you? And it's like at the end of the day, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, as long as my wife likes me and loves me and everything like that, then that's all I can ask for. As long as my little baby girl, we get along just fine. We're not gonna be, sometimes she's not gonna like her old father, but it is what it is what it is. But it's just you can't please everybody. Everybody's not gonna be your friend. Everybody's not gonna come with you in this journey either. So, you know, think about that kind of stuff before when you get started, and you'll see. There's like I had a cousin, God bless him, but I remember I started doing the podcast, and I was like, I'm gonna because he would call me, and then for 2 hours he would talk, and then he would just stop listening. And then we were going for another 30, 40 minutes, an hour. I'm talking and he just ain't listening. I'm like, you know what? I'm finna stop. I'm finna really stop communicating with this guy because it's just a waste of time. And it's really like 2 or 3 hours of nonsense. So it's like, why am I wasting 2 or 3 hours? I could have wrote 900 page book in 2 or 3 hours. I mean, I'm just exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Like you could do so much in those 2 or 3 hours. Like, why am I wasting my time? Like, get out of here. And you have to tell yourself that when it comes to people. Don't worry about hey, this person doesn't like me. This person doesn't like me. Um, it's a matter of I don't you just have to say, man, hey, listen, they don't like me, I don't give a damn. Okay, it is what it is. Let's move on. It's like I remember I was thinking when I first started the podcast, I was like, man, I hope people like the podcast, and if I share it with people, they're not gonna like it. I'm like, now if you ask me the same question, you're like, do people like when my wife once she tells everybody that we know that I have a podcast, and somebody's gonna be like, I don't like it, and I'm just gonna say, I don't give a I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like I have an audience. I have people that listen. I have people that like it. I have people that enjoy the show. Some people they're gonna turn it on and then they're gonna turn it right off. Some people are gonna turn it on. They're gonna listen to it for a long time. Some people are gonna listen for a little while. And they're gonna say, you know what? Tired of this guy. It is what it is. I can't please everybody. I can only do the show that I do the show that I like. That's it. You can't get out here and be worried about I hope my video, they like my video. Say what you got to say and move on. Do what you got to do and move on. Do the things that you need to do to get to where you want to go, and move on. Everybody's not coming with you. Everybody's not going to be your friend. Stop people pleasing. The book is called Stop People Pleasing by Patrick King, and you should check it out. And that Dan Kennedy's book about time management, that's a good one too. I'm sure we discussed that in the podcast when I first got it. I flipped through it, but I gotta actually get into it and read it. But you know how that goes. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our show today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Online Marketing Moves, and we will be back tomorrow with all new episode. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening, and as always, everybody, peace.